Hello, welcome to the Paper Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan James. Thank you for joining me today. This is the first part, beginning the series of outsourcing for banks. Outsourcing has become, essential, especially in banking, of what, products and services or day-to-day activities that we outsource. And outsourcing is using a third party, but via contract to do possible day-to-day businesses within your business. And, we went over the possible things that could be outsourcing. It could be your customer support. It could be software. It can be compliance. It could be audits. There's just a myriad of functions and what to. So this first episode, first is defining what is outsourcing. And we talked about that. It's getting activities. Now, the whole reason you're going to outsource better be a greater benefit than you doing it yourself. That's first and foremost. If your company can't do a better job, you outsource, and then you would not outsource. So when you outsource an activity, it better enhance quality. Maybe you're getting a group that is better suited for the skill set. So it needs to either reduce cost, enhance efficiencies, provide better value to your customers. And the four major things before you ever outsource that you have to look at too are the four major risks: strategic, operational, regulatory and compliance, and reputational risk. And so first, talk a little bit about strategic risk. How does this fall in line with your products and services and your end customers? That's first and foremost. Does it follow with your strategic plan? Is it coming to that model? By you outsourcing and people recognize that that is a third party that's handling that function, is that going to look negatively upon your institution? Operational risk. Okay, now you're relying on someone else, a third party company. You may be embedded with a contract that you can cancel at any time, but if it's software as a service, that has many legs. They could be holding your data hostage during that time. So you've got, a lot of operational risks. If something happens, you can't fix it yourself. You're going to have to contact them to fix it. So how does that play into your operations? How does that work with, your standard operating procedures? You need to cover those risks forwards and backwards. Regulatory and compliance, the risk. Obviously, banks exist and we are always going to have regulatory and compliance issues. So, are you outsourcing something that you need to be the expert in? There's functions that you can outsource your, let's think about your company. Do you want to outsource your BSA? That probably is not a very good idea for banks to outsource BSA, but are you outsourcing internal audits? That may be extremely beneficial to you because of your size. Regulatory compliance, you have to run through that risk as you're vetting and looking to outsource. And the fourth major one is reputational risk. And not only reputational risk outsourcing, the first one that comes to mind, if you're customer service support, if you're outsourcing that and you're outsourcing it to people that, are different than your customer base, if you're outsourcing a call center, and then people immediately feel when they call your institution and they recognize that person is not there, they're out of country, they don't sound like your customer base, that could be extremely negative to your reputation. And I believe most companies have already gotten that way, but that's the first thing that pops in my mind. And most of the time, I don't think anybody's doing that anymore, at least, customer service centric or not, but that's the thing. And then regulatory risk of, is that vendor that you're using, you need to look up and see, their reputation. If they've got a negative reputation too, then, that could carry over onto you. So right now, those are the four biggest risks looking into outsourcing. Next episodes, we'll dive in more detail of how I look at specific functions, and we looked at and defining risks and certain outsourcing activities. Because, let's face it, you can't do everything yourself as a bank, as a company. Every company outsources portions of their activity, whether it's a portion of, their unit they're selling, compliance, across the board. outsourcing is here to stay. So, you just need to go through that model, what to keep in house and what your outsource. Everything that you outsource really needs to be a great benefit back to you. Please like, comment, comment of what areas that you're thinking about outsourcing, pros and cons. Happy to go through those.